Have you ever opened your banking app on an ordinary Tuesday, seen the number, and felt your stomach drop, even though you didn't do anything wrong that week? Maybe you got the raise you spent 2 years asking for, and somehow you have less money now than before it. Or maybe you've stood at a card reader and said, "Try it again," and watched the cashier's face while it declined a second time, for something small, something under $100. You probably don't have an income problem. You have a leak. And a leak is never loud. That is the entire reason it survives. A city has one method for finding water it cannot see, and it costs nothing. If you want to start before this story does, open your banking app and find the last recurring charge you didn't use this week. His name was Nathan. He was paid to find leaks nobody else could hear. He just never turned the microphone on himself. Stay with me until the end. Nathan Ochoa was 34, and he worked nights for the water department in Fresno, California. His job had a name most people have never heard: leak detection. Between 2 and 4 in the morning, when a city stops using water, he walked the streets with a ground microphone, a steel rod with a listening head, set it against the pavement, and listened. Underground, a crack in a pipe makes a sound, not a splash, a hiss thin as breathing, the note of pressurized water escaping into dirt. Most people cannot hear it at all. Nathan could hear it through 4 feet of asphalt, through a passing truck, through his own heartbeat in the headphones. District 7 lost 18% of everything the city pumped into it, every day, into the ground, and nobody could say exactly where. Finding it was Nathan's job, and he was the best they had at it. 9 leaks in 1 quarter. At home, there was Sophia, who did weekend shifts at a dental office, and Ruby, who was 7, asthmatic since she was 4, and counted her own puffs out loud. 1, 2, because somebody told her once that it mattered, and she decided it did. 20 months earlier, the city had promoted him, $4.25 an hour more, $736 a month before taxes, about $540 after. He remembered telling Sophia on the drive home that they could finally breathe. 20 months later, this is what breathing looked like. Nathan was not reckless. He had a budget, written out by hand, taped inside a cabinet door where he saw it every day. Rent, $16.50. Groceries, $8.60. Ruby's after-school program, $300, and 4 more lines under those, every one of them real, $4,040 out, $4,340 in. His hours, plus Sophia's weekends, $300 left over, every month. On paper, Nathan Ochoa saved $3,600 a year. So on the 19th of that month, there should have been $300 in that account. There was $41.16, 11 days to the 30th. And on a credit card he had stopped opening the statements for, there was $2,890. And if you had asked him to name what he'd bought with it, one thing, just one, he could not have told you. That was the part that kept him awake, not the number, the not knowing. The check engine light on his 2009 Silverado had been on for 7 months. There was a drawer in the hallway he no longer opened, because it was full of mail he had not opened either. A man who could hear a 1/4-inch crack under a parking lot could not hear where his own paycheck went. The phone woke him at 1:40 in the afternoon, 4 hours into his sleep. Ruby had used the last of her inhaler on the blacktop at recess. She was fine. The nurse said that first, and said it again. But in California, a rescue inhaler has to come from the parent, with the child's name on the label. There was no backup. There was only Nathan. Ruby's refills were a $10 copay, but this was a replacement, 3 weeks early, and the insurance had already been billed for the month. So at the pharmacy counter, the tech said $84.20, cash. She must have seen his face, because she ran a discount card without being asked. That brings it to $61.40. Nathan handed over his debit card. Declined. Can you try it as credit? He said. Declined. He gave her the other card, and it came back declined too. Ruby was sitting 12 feet away in the plastic chair beside the blood pressure machine, breathing in that shallow, careful way she had taught herself so she wouldn't frighten him. So Nathan Ochoa stood in aisle 4 of a pharmacy and called his mother-in-law and put her on speaker, and she read her card number out loud, digit by digit, while a man behind him in line studied a shelf of vitamins and pretended not to hear. $61.40. He earned more that year than his father had earned in any year of his life. He was not lazy, and he was not stupid, and he could not produce $61 for his daughter's medicine. Ruby fell asleep on the way home, with the inhaler still in her hand. She never said anything about it. Not on the drive, not that night, not ever. And that was worse than anything she could have said. That night, Nathan sat in the truck on Clinton Avenue and did not get out for 9 minutes. Earlier in the shift, he had asked dispatch, quietly, about a payroll advance. He didn't know Ray had been standing 3 feet behind him. Ray Alvarado was 61, 31 of them with the department. He brought coffee from home in a dented steel thermos because, he said, the gas station stuff tasted like a parking lot. He got in without being invited, poured a cup, and handed it over. Payroll advance, Ray said. Not a question. Nathan looked out the windshield. It's a bad month. 1 bad month is bad luck. 20 in a row is how you live. Nathan started explaining the raise, the budget in the cabinet, the numbers that worked. Ray let him get all the way to the end. Then he said, I retired my mortgage at 51. I put 2 kids through Fresno State. I did all of it on $19 an hour. Nathan turned and looked at him. And before you say it, I'm not going to tell you to stop buying coffee. Ray shook his head. Your wage is a real problem. It's just not the one you can fix tonight. The one you can fix tonight is that you don't know where your own water goes. He set the cup on the dash. So, how do we find a leak in a district? Minimum night flow. Nathan said it the way you say something you've said 100 times. Between 2 and 4, the city's asleep. Nobody's showering, nobody's flushing, nobody's watering a lawn. So whatever's still moving through the district meter isn't being used. It's being lost. And in the daytime? In the daytime, you can't tell. Use covers the loss. Ray let that sit in the cab until Nathan heard it. You can't find a leak while the whole town's running the taps, Ray said. You find it at 3 in the morning, when everything's supposed to be shut off. Your paycheck's no different. You'll never find your losses staring at a month where you were living. You find them on the days you weren't. He reached over and wrote on the fogged glass with one finger. How much is $10 a day? Nothing. $10 a day is $3,650 a year, and that's after tax. To keep that much, you have to earn about $5,000. At 24 an hour, that's 207 hours. He tapped the glass. 26 working days, more than 5 weeks of your life, every year, for something you can't even name. 1 drip a minute out of 1 faucet, Ray said, is about 34 gallons a year. Nobody ever fixes it. You know why? Nobody can see 34 gallons. They can only ever see 1 drop. He screwed the cap back on the thermos. That's your 18%, Nathan. yours and District 7's. Not theft, not fires. Drips. Then he gave him the method. The same 3 steps the department runs on a district. 1. Find the night flow. 30 nights. Every night before you sleep, you write down every dollar that left your account that day. All of it. And once a week, you buy nothing on purpose. The young guys call that a no-spend day. It's your test. Whatever still moves on a day you bought nothing was never a decision. He held up a finger before Nathan could ask. Not all of it's loss, mind you. There's a bakery on Olive runs its mixers at 3 in the morning. That's real use. We subtract it before we dig. Your rent's the same. Your power bill. You knew about those. You chose those. They're on your paper. What's left after you subtract the water you meant to use? That's your leak. 2. Isolate before you dig. We don't tear up a street to find one crack. We close valves, 1 block at a time, until the sound stops. Kill one category for a week, and find out what you actually miss. Most of it, you won't. 3. Fix the pipe before you ask for more water. Every man in a hole thinks the answer is a raise. Ray looked at him. You got the raise. Where is it? Nathan didn't answer. You told me it was $540 a month after taxes, Ray said. I'll bet you a week of coffee. Your night flow is bigger than your raise. 90 nights. Ray opened the door. In the same field notebook you use out here. You don't get a special one. This isn't a hobby. Miss a night and don't ask me anything again. I retire the week before Christmas. I've got no time for men who like the idea of the thing. He found the first one on the 3rd night, and it took him 20 minutes to stop looking at it. A fitness app, $14.99, since a January he could barely remember. 44 charges. $659. He had opened it 4 times. $659. For 4 workouts, and not one of those charges had ever felt like a decision. The 2nd week it nearly ended. Sophia found the notebook open on the counter, with the grocery line in it, and read it as an accusation, which is exactly what it looks like when someone starts writing down what a family spends. They fought quietly, in the hallway, because Ruby was asleep. She said he was policing her. Then she got her purse and laid 3 grocery receipts on the counter beside his notebook. $41 today, she said. Tell me which meal Ruby wasn't supposed to eat. Then he said the thing that turned it. I'm not auditing you, Nathan said. I'm auditing the pipe. The next night, Sophia started her own column down the right-hand side of the page. She was better at it than he was. 30 nights of night flow, added up. Subscriptions and auto-pays nobody in the house used. $186 a month. A standing payment to the card he had set up years ago and never once changed. $140 a month, of which $72 was now interest. Rent on money he had already spent. Delivery fees, tips, and taps under $20, $85. Coffee and the gas station on the way in, $72. 2 overdraft fees and a late fee, $70. $553 a month. His raise had been $540. Ray had bet him a week of coffee. He had been right by $13. Nathan had not been promoted. He had been promoted into a hole. And then the arithmetic did the last thing to him. His budget said $300 of margin. His night flow was $553, which meant that every month, quietly, he went $253 backwards. 20 months. $253 a month. $5,060. And here is the part he wrote down twice before he believed it. In those same 20 months, he had paid that card $2,800, $140 a month, on time, without ever thinking about it. The balance had gone up anyway, to $2,890. He had paid that card $2,800. In the same 20 months, it had grown by $2,890. Both of those were true at once. He had not lost it in one catastrophe. He had lost it in about 4,000 small ones, and he could not name a single one. Canceling 9 autopays took 22 minutes. They kept the one streaming service Ruby actually watched. A thermos and a $9 bag of coffee took the gas station down to 12. 2 delivery nights a month survived. He moved every due date to the day after payday, and the bank fees went to 0 and stayed there. $353 a month. Plugged. Nathan did not earn $1 extra that month. He kept $353. Then he opened a second account at a different bank with no card attached and set a transfer for the hour his pay landed. Ray, when he heard, "Money in a second account is water in a tank. Money in your checking is water in a pipe." At 5:40 in the morning, he caught his own hand reaching for the gas station coffee lid and stopped it. The habit was still there. He said later, it felt exactly like the half-second before you find a leak, when you know, just before you know. The transmission in the Silverado went out on a Tuesday. $620. 20 months ago, this was precisely the moment the card ate another $800. He did not touch the new account. He picked up 3 extra night surveys, 24 hours at time and a half, and covered the repair out of the overtime. The card did not move, neither did the account. In month 3, Nathan started doing to District 7 what he was doing to his own paycheck. He pulled 3 months of 3 a.m. readings and looked for a floor that never dropped. He found it under an elementary school parking lot. A cast-iron main from 1974, cracked along a seam, running clean into a storm drain. 60 gallons a minute for at least 2 years, and not one drop had ever reached the surface for anyone to call in. In the first week of December, the department put Nathan on an out-of-class assignment, acting water loss coordinator, 12-month District 7 pilot, $900 a month in differential pay, for as long as the pilot held. It was provisional. He had to keep earning it, which he said later was the only reason he believed it. The notebook was full, the last 30 pages in 2 different handwritings. The card was at $2,940, $60 higher than the night he started, and in the 20 months before that, $60 had taken about 10 days. It wasn't paid off. It wasn't close. It had just, for the first time, nearly stopped, and there was $200 in an account he had never touched. Ray read the last page, closed the notebook, and handed it back. "Now," he said, "you can have the raise." In month 7, Nathan paid the last $450 on the card. They didn't celebrate with a purchase. They ate dinner at the kitchen table, and Ruby didn't understand why her parents kept looking at each other. By month 13, after new tires and a dentist he had been avoiding for 2 years, there were $4,040 in the account he never touched. 4,040. The exact number taped inside the cabinet door. 1 entire month of his family's life, sitting in a tank. And in a drawer in that kitchen, there is a plastic box with Sophia's handwriting on the lid. 2 rescue inhalers. The refill date written where anyone can see it. 13 months after the worst afternoon of his life, Nathan stood at the same counter and paid $61.40 for his daughter's medicine. He didn't check his balance first. That was the whole victory. not a house, not a truck, a man handing over a card without holding his breath. Ray retired the week before Christmas. At the yard, they gave him a cake with a pipe drawn on it in blue frosting, and he handed Nathan his own ground microphone, worn smooth on the handle from 31 years. Nathan tried to thank him. "I didn't fix anything for you," Ray said. "I told you where to listen. Money doesn't leave in a flood. It leaves one drop at a time, on a day you'll never remember. So here is the method, and it costs nothing. Pick one day this week and buy nothing on purpose. Then read every line that still moved. Subscriptions, auto-pays, fees, interest. That is what your life costs when you aren't even living it, and it is the only number in your life you have never once looked at. Then close one valve at a time and fix the pipe before you ask for more water, because if there's a hole in the line, a raise is just a bigger leak. 30 nights, one notebook, no app, no course, no budget system with a monthly fee, which would be funny, wouldn't it? Don't tell me what you're going to plug. Open your account right now, find one line you can't explain, and put the number in the comments. Just the number. I want a comment section that is nothing but numbers. And send this to the person you know who just got a raise and is somehow more broke than before. They don't need a lecture. They need somebody to hand them a microphone. You are probably not bad with money. You have just been listening in the daytime.